The bus doors slammed shut before Marcus Hale could step inside, but the driver still looked straight at him through the glass, as if he had not seen the ticket in Marcus's hand. Marcus stood in the cold rain outside the Richmond Central bus station, one hand gripping a small brown suitcase, the other holding the printed ticket he had paid for 3 weeks earlier. Behind him, the line had already disappeared inside. Every passenger had boarded, every suitcase had been loaded. Only Marcus remained on the curb, water dripping from the brim of his old black hat. He knocked once on the bus door. The driver did not open it. Marcus raised the ticket against the glass. The driver leaned toward the window and shook his head slowly. Marcus heard the engine grow louder. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then a woman sitting in the front seat turned away, pretending not to see him. A teenage boy near the middle window lifted his phone, recording somewhere inside the bus. Someone laughed. Marcus knocked again, harder this time. The driver finally cracked the door open just enough to speak. "Sir, I already told you. This bus is full." Marcus looked through the half-open door. The first row had 2 empty seats. The last row had more. He did not argue loudly. He did not curse. He only lifted the ticket again. "My seat is 1 for B," he said. "I paid for it." The driver looked Marcus up and down, from his worn coat to his muddy shoes, then to the small suitcase that looked older than both of them. "You need to wait for the next one." Marcus blinked through the rain. "There is no next one tonight. Then come back tomorrow." A white man near the front laughed under his breath and said, "Man, just let it go." Marcus turned his eyes toward him, but said nothing. He had learned a long time ago that some people wanted anger more than truth. They wanted you to raise your voice so they could point and say, "See, that is why we were afraid." So Marcus kept his voice calm. "I need to be in Atlanta by morning." The driver's face hardened. "Not on my bus." Those 4 words landed harder than the rain. "Not on my bus." Marcus stared at him. He had heard different versions of that sentence his whole life. Not in this neighborhood. Not at this counter. Not through this entrance. Not in that seat. Not beside my daughter. Not on my bus. Inside the bus, the teenage boy kept recording. Marcus glanced at the bus number above the windshield, 3187. He looked at the driver's name badge, Carl Reeves. He looked at the empty seats one more time. Then he stepped back from the curb. The doors folded shut. The bus pulled away. Marcus stood in the rain until the red taillights blurred into the darkness. For a moment, he did not move. Then he lowered his ticket, walked back into the station, and sat on a metal bench beneath a flickering light. His coat was soaked. His suitcase left a wet mark on the floor. The station smelled like coffee, old newspapers, and tired people. A young cleaning woman pushing a mop bucket stopped beside him. "You okay, sir?" Marcus nodded, but his eyes stayed fixed on the glass doors. "I missed my bus," he said. She looked at the ticket still in his hand. Then she looked outside at the empty curb. "Missed it," she repeated softly, as if she did not believe the word. Marcus folded the ticket carefully and placed it inside his coat pocket. "My granddaughter is having surgery tomorrow," he said. "I promised her I would be there when she woke up." The cleaning woman's face changed. "She's sick." Marcus took a slow breath. "Heart surgery. She is 7. The woman put one hand over her mouth. Marcus looked down at the suitcase by his feet. Inside it was a yellow stuffed rabbit with one missing button eye, a children's book about astronauts, and a purple sweater his granddaughter Lily had left at his house the previous Christmas. She had called him 2 nights ago from the hospital and whispered, "Grandpa, bring Mr. Sunny. I don't want to be brave without him." Mr. Sunny was the rabbit. Marcus had promised, and Marcus Hale did not break promises to children. The cleaning woman pulled out her phone. "There might be another route," she said quickly. "Maybe transfer through Charlotte or Columbia." Marcus gave a tired smile. "I checked already. That was the last bus that gets there in time." She looked toward the ticket counter. "You should complain." Marcus looked at the closed counter window. A paper sign said customer service would reopen at 6 in the morning. "My granddaughter goes into surgery at 7. The cleaning woman stood there, angry for him, helpless with him. "What's her name?" "Lily." She nodded. "I'll pray for Lily," Marcus whispered. "Thank you." Outside, the rain grew heavier. For 20 minutes, Marcus sat still. Then he stood, picked up his suitcase, and walked toward the exit. The cleaning woman called after him. "Where are you going?" He turned back. To find another way. There was no drama in his voice. No speech. No heroic music. Just an old man with wet shoes and a promise sitting heavy in his chest. Outside the station, taxis waited near the curb, their headlights glowing through the rain. Marcus approached the first one and asked the price to Atlanta. The driver named a number so high Marcus almost laughed. The second was worse. The third refused before Marcus finished asking. Too far. Marcus checked his wallet. $86 in cash. Not enough for a taxi. Not enough for a private ride. barely enough for food on the way. He opened a rideshare app on his old phone, but the screen froze twice before showing a price he could not pay. He stood beneath the station awning, watching strangers climb into cars, watching everyone else continue their lives. At 10:42 p.m., his phone rang. It was his daughter, Renee. Marcus stared at the name for 3 rings before answering. "Daddy, you on the bus?" He closed his eyes. "I'm at the station." There was silence. "What happened?" Marcus looked at the rain running along the curb. "Problem with the driver." "What kind of problem?" He did not answer. Renee understood anyway. Her voice trembled with anger. "Daddy, I'm going to figure it out." "They can't do that." "They did. Give me the company name. I'll call. I'll sue." Renee," Marcus said gently. "Your daughter needs you calm tonight." On the other end, he heard machines beeping faintly, hospital sounds, the low murmur of nurses. Then a tiny voice came through. "Grandpa." Marcus straightened like someone had touched his heart. "Hey, little astronaut. Are you bringing Mr. Sunny?" Marcus looked down at the suitcase. "He is right here with me. Are you coming?" His throat tightened. "Yes." When Marcus swallowed. "Before you wake up, you promise." Rain tapped on the roof above him. "I promise." The call ended after Renee took the phone back and whispered that Lily needed rest. Marcus stood alone outside the station, staring at the dark road. A promise could be a warm thing when life was easy. That night, it felt like a mountain. At 11:05 p.m., a gray pickup truck pulled slowly into the station lot. It had a cracked windshield, a dented bumper, and a ladder tied to the back. The driver was a white man in his early 30s, wearing a rain jacket and a baseball cap. He parked near the vending machines and ran inside. Marcus barely noticed him until the man came back out holding 2 coffees and a pack of gum. The man paused when he saw Marcus still standing there. "You waiting for someone?" Marcus shook his head. "Trying to get to Atlanta." The man looked at the empty bus lane. "Tonight?" "Yes, that's a long ride." Marcus gave a small nod. The man studied him for a second, not rudely, not suspiciously, just carefully. "My name's Ethan," he said. "Marcus." Ethan pointed toward the pickup. "I'm heading south, not all the way to Atlanta, but close enough to make him by morning, if the rain doesn't get stupid." Marcus looked at him. Ethan held up both hands. "I know how that sounds, stranger in a truck at midnight. But you look like someone who needs help, and I've been there." Marcus had survived too many years by being careful. Kindness was real, but so was danger. He looked at the truck, then at Ethan, then back at the road. "Why would you do that?" Ethan's face shifted. "Because my dad died in a hospital waiting room while I was stuck 3 states away, and nobody stopped to help me get there." Marcus said nothing. Ethan looked down at the coffee in his hand and offered one. Black coffee. No sugar, station machine, so it might taste like regret. Marcus almost smiled. For the first time that night, something inside him loosened. He accepted the cup. "I need to be at Children's Grace Hospital by 7. Ethan nodded. "Then we better not waste time." Marcus looked at the station one last time. The cleaning woman was visible through the glass, watching. When she saw Marcus open the pickup door, she gave him a small thumbs up. He lifted his hand back. Then he climbed in. The truck smelled like sawdust, rain, and peppermint gum. Country music played low on the radio. Ethan tossed the gum onto the dashboard and pulled out of the station lot. For the first few miles, neither man spoke. Marcus kept one hand on the suitcase. Ethan kept both hands on the wheel, eyes steady through the storm. After a while, Ethan said, "Grandkid." Marcus looked over. "You said hospital. Granddaughter. Lily, how old?" 7. Ethan nodded slowly. 7-year-olds are tough. She is tougher than me. I believe that. Marcus watched highway signs pass in the rain. An hour later, the storm became violent. Sheets of water hit the windshield. The wipers fought and lost. Traffic slowed. Trucks roared past, spraying water across the lanes. Ethan leaned forward, tense. "Roads bad." Marcus checked the time. Midnight. They still had hundreds of miles to go. At 12:24 a.m., traffic stopped completely. Red brake lights stretched ahead like a wound across the highway. Ethan cursed softly and turned on the hazard lights. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Ethan checked a traffic app. "Accident ahead. Says, delay 1 hour. Maybe 2. Marcus stared at the screen. 1 hour he could survive. 2 hours could break the promise. Ethan looked at him. "There's an old county road about a mile back. Longer on paper, but it might move." Marcus glanced at the dark fields beyond the highway. "Is it safe?" Ethan hesitated. "In this weather, not really." Marcus looked at the suitcase. "Take it." Ethan studied him, then nodded. He eased the truck onto the shoulder, crawled backward carefully until he reached a gap, then turned down a narrow exit road most drivers had ignored. The county road was empty, black, and shining with rain. Trees bent over it like they were listening. There were no streetlights, no gas stations, no houses, only darkness and the promise. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment and whispered Lily's name. 40 minutes later, The truck hit a pothole so deep the whole vehicle jumped. Something cracked underneath. Ethan pulled to the side as the engine groaned. No, 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 he muttered. Steam rose from the hood. Marcus got out into the rain with him. Ethan lifted the hood and shined his phone light inside. Radiator hose, Ethan said. Split. Marcus knew enough about machines to understand the problem. How long? Ethan looked around at the empty road. With parts. 10 minutes. Without parts. We're in trouble. Marcus felt the cold rain soaking into his shirt. Ethan slammed the hood down, frustration burning across his face. I'm sorry. Marcus looked at him through the rain. You got me this far. That's not enough. No, Marcus said softly. But it matters. Headlights appeared in the distance. Both men turned. A car approached slowly, then another behind it. The first vehicle was a state trooper SUV. Marcus's body reacted before his mind did. His shoulders tightened. His breathing changed. Old memories woke up fast. The SUV stopped behind the pickup. Red and blue lights flashed across the wet trees. A trooper stepped out, hand near his belt. Ethan walked forward quickly. Officer, we broke down. I can explain. The trooper's eyes moved past Ethan and landed on Marcus. What are you two doing out here? Ethan answered, trying to get him to Atlanta. His granddaughter's having surgery. The trooper did not look convinced. ID Marcus reached slowly into his pocket. The trooper's voice sharpened. Slow. Marcus froze. Ethan turned. He is moving slow. The trooper looked at Ethan. Sir, step back. Marcus pulled out his wallet with 2 fingers and handed over his ID. The trooper studied it beneath his flashlight. Richmond address. What's in the suitcase? Marcus's jaw tightened. A stuffed animal, a sweater, a book. The trooper looked at the suitcase. Open it. Ethan said, come on, man. It's raining. He's just trying to get to a hospital. The trooper ignored him. Marcus bent down, opened the suitcase, and lifted Mr. Sunny from inside. The yellow rabbit hung limp in the rain. One button, I'm missing. Its soft ears darkening with water. For some reason, that hurt more than the bus. The trooper stared at the rabbit. Behind him, the second car stopped. It was a small blue sedan. A middle-aged black woman stepped out wearing hospital scrubs under a coat. Everything okay here? She called. The trooper turned. Ma'am, stay in your vehicle. She walked closer anyway. I asked if everything is okay. Marcus looked at her scrubs. A badge clipped to her pocket read Dr. Alana Pierce. She noticed Marcus holding the rabbit. Her eyes narrowed with recognition. Are you Marcus Hale? Marcus blinked. Yes, I'm Dr. Pierce. I'm part of Lily's surgical team. For a second, the rain seemed to stop. Marcus stared at her. She stepped closer. Renee showed us your picture. Lily talks about you nonstop. The trooper's face changed. Ethan looked at Marcus. Then at the doctor, stunned. Dr. Pierce looked at the open suitcase, the wet rabbit, the flashing police lights, and understood enough. Why is he standing in the rain opening a child's suitcase? She asked coldly. The trooper cleared his throat. Routine check. This man's granddaughter is being prepped for heart surgery in a few hours. The trooper said nothing. Dr. Pierce turned to Marcus. I'm driving back to Atlanta. Get in my car. Marcus looked at Ethan. Ethan smiled tiredly. Go. Marcus stepped toward him and held out his hand. Ethan shook it firmly. You helped me keep going, Marcus said. Ethan swallowed. Make sure she gets that rabbit. Marcus nodded. Then Marcus closed the suitcase, held Mr. Sunny under his coat to protect him from the rain, and followed Dr. Pierce to the blue sedan. As they pulled away, the trooper's lights disappeared behind them. The road ahead was still dark, but now it was moving.